Good morning, dear students. Today, our class is on sampling. It is a part of biostatistics chapter. Let us see the contents, that is probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Today, we will be dealing with probability sampling. Now, what is sampling? Sampling is, let us see first what is sample, then we'll see sampling. Sample is the group of individuals who are actually available for the investigation. That means a group of people who are going to take part in our investigation or whatever the kind of investigation that we are going to do. So, these people are readily available for our investigation. And the process of selecting the sample is called sampling. Now, sampling is the process or a technique of selecting a sample of appropriate characteristics and adequate size. So, a sample should be selected based upon the characteristics that are required to be selected, and the required size of the sample should be selected. It is not just take any number of sample or any number of people or any kind of people. That means there should be some criteria that we are going to select. So, in this sampling technique, only a part of the universe or a part of the population is selected, and after the investigation or what after the experiment or after the study, whatever we are doing, whatever the conclusions that are drawn from that particular investigation or particular study can be applied to the entire population from whom we have selected this sample. So the sample should be selected keeping in mind that it should be the true representation of that population from where it is drawn. So I've given you an example, picture here, which can give you an idea how this sample is. Now, different methods of sampling. The first one is probability sampling and second one is non-probability sampling. Today, we will deal with probability sampling. So, in this probability sampling, we have again 5 types, that is simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, systematic random sampling, multi-stage random sampling, and cluster sampling. Now, these are non-probability sampling techniques. This we will deal in the next class. Coming to the first one, that is random sampling. This is also another name of probability sampling. Now, this is a sampling technique in which each and every individual or every unit in the population has an equal opportunity to be included in the study or in the sample. That means, suppose if we have 100 people or 100 children or 100 students in a class, all the 100 students has an equal opportunity or equal chance being included in the sample. This method is selecting the sample by chance only, not by purpose. That means you are not deliberately selecting the people. When everybody is selected by chance, and therefore generalization can be made to the parent population, because we have selected the sample from all the population whatever is available for us to be included in the study. From them the sample is selected and those sample are included. Those group of children or students are included in the sample. The first one in this is simple random sampling. This method is well applicable or applied when you have the total number of population available in hand and when the population is homogeneous, and definitely it should be small enough. and readily available. For example, as patients coming to the college or to the hospitals, or people available in the hospital bed wards, or maybe children available in the class. Basically, who are available and they are homogeneous in nature. And how we select this sample? This simple random sampling. The first one is lottery method. Is the simplest and the most popular method of obtaining a random sampling. I know how you take a lottery system where you put all the total list of the population in a jar and pick them up till the required number of the sample is selected. That is called as lottery method. And the second one is random number tables, where we have tables given by the one ready-made available tables are the random numbers, and we select from those tables. That's called as random number tables. This is the example I've given, triagrammatic representation I've given you here, where each and every person in this group can be involved in this sample. Now coming to the merits. It is not a subjective method, so it is there is no possibility of personal bias in affecting the results. So when it is a subjective method, you are selecting the people or the sample based upon your criteria, whom you like or whom you want to be involved. So what happens? That is called a judgment sampling. Based upon your judgment, you are selecting the sample, and definitely they cannot be the true representation. So as the sample size increases, the complications do not increase in getting the sample. Coming to the demerits, the entire population is to be arranged in order to use in random sampling. It is usually difficult for the investigator to have the entire list of the population to be sampled. Suppose if you are taking 1,000 people, from them 1,000, you cannot have all the 1,000 people list prepared. It's a cumbersome and it's very tiresome. So this restricts the use of random sampling technique. And the task of preparing slips is time consuming and definitely expensive. That is simple random sampling. Then let us see the next one, that is stratified random sampling. This method is followed when the population is not homogeneous. Please take a note. The population is not homogeneous. Now the population under study is first divided into homogeneous groups or classes, call them as strata, and then the sample is drawn from that strata or from each stratum at random in population, or sorry, in proportion to the size. So suppose we have a population with mixed religions, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jain, Sikh, whatever. These people are located in different parts of the city. Now when we want to select a people from only the Hindu community, or from the Muslim community, or from the Christian community, or you can say just only the male population or only the female population, we bring them all together as a strata, and from that stratum we select the required number of sample. That is called as stratified random sampling, because we are having the population who are not homogeneous, and then we are bringing them into homogeneous group. We are making all of them together in our sampling purpose, and then from that we are selecting the sample. That is called as stratified random sampling. I've given you a picture here. You can see where males, females, then the population, and then it is selected based upon the proportion to the size. This method is particularly useful when we are interested in analyzing the data, particularly in relation to certain characteristics of the population, like example Hindu, Muslim, Christian, age groups, etc. The merits of this technique is proportionate representative sample from each strata is secured and it gives you greater accuracy. Coming to the next one, that is systematic sampling. Now, this method is popularly used in the case where a complete list of population is available from which we draw the sample. This is done by picking up every nth number, that is, it can be second, or every third, or every fourth, or every fifth unit at regular intervals. It is more often applied to field studies when the population is large, scattered, and homogeneous. See, this is also homogeneous, but population is large. So what you want to do? You want to select every fourth member, or every 10th member, or every 15th member. At a systematic method, we select the sample group. But here, the population is homogeneous. For example, if you want to carry out a phylarial survey in a town, we try to pick up 10% of the sample. Now the houses are numbered first, then a number is selected at random between 1 and 10, then every fourth member. Here I have given you where in this case every second person is selected in the systematic sampling. Merits. It is convenient to adopt. The time and the labor involved in the collection of sample is relatively small, and if the population is significantly large and homogeneous, each unit is numbered, and definitely this method can yield accurate results. So it is convenient to adopt because you are not selecting everybody, you are going in a systematic manner and you are picking up the nth number, and the time and labor involved in this process is definitely less than simple random sampling. Third and important, that is, the sample is sufficiently large and homogeneous, then it can yield accurate results. The demerits of systematic. Here it is not a true random sampling because what is happening? We are picking up every nth number. Automatically we are eliminating certain group of numbers. So everyone may not have an independent chance being selected. This type of sampling is usually obtained by drawing a number and then selecting the nth individual. All odd numbers are systematically excluded when you are selecting every fourth individual. So when we are selecting only the particular nth number, automatically you are avoiding certain other people. So everybody is not having an equal chance in being involved in this. I mean, in true words, this is not a random sampling, but it is a part of it. Definitely don't get confused with that. Let us see, that is multi-stage sampling. In this multi-stage sampling, the part of the information collected from the whole sample and part from the subsample. So, like how you say, I'll give you an example, I'll give you the picture also here. Here, when we are conducting a school health survey, all the children in the school may be examined. From these, only the children who has health problems, oral health problems may be selected in the second phase. And then among those children who has oral health problems, we would like to select all those children who are in need of a treatment in the third phase. So first phase children, second phase problems, third phase treatment. Now the number of the sample becomes smaller as you go on to the next phases. So this may be adopted only when the interest is in any particular disease or in a specific disease or in a specific condition. We want to know how many children are requiring root canal treatment, or we want to know how many children are actually requiring class 2 respirations or anything like that, because we are interested in only in particular disease or in particular condition. So automatically the sample size reduces as the phase goes on. If you see the example here, East District of Delhi is selected first. From that district, three sub-districts are selected. From that three sub-districts, one sub-district was randomly chosen. So if you see 1, 2, third phase. And the next phase, in this one randomly selected sub-district, there are 27 administrative wards. So in this 27 administrative wards, 6 of the 27 are randomly chosen. Then 603 census enumeration blocks, that is CEBs, in the 6 randomly selected wards. From this, we are selecting 24 census enumeration blocks. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are so many phases. So this is called as multi-stage sampling. Merits: less costly, less laborious, and more purposeful. Less costly, less laborious, and more purposeful. Multi-stage sampling is more flexible as compared to other methods. Demerits are more errors are likely in this method as compared to other methods. Cluster sampling. Now this method is used when the units of the population or natural groups or clusters such as villages, wards, blocks, slums, factories, workshops, school children, schools. These are all naturally formed clusters. We are not making them. See, in stratified sampling, we are making them homogeneous and we are forming them. But in cluster sampling, they are naturally formed. So it is like villages, schools, wards, blocks. These are all the things which were naturally formed. We are not something bringing them from different places and making them here. So the smallest unit into which the population can be described as the element of the population and the groups are called clusters. So these are all the clusters where each unit of this is population can be described as the elements of the population and groups of elements are clusters. This is called as cluster sampling. This is also another widely used sampling technique which we use for any school studies. I will give you one. Oh, picture is missing. Okay. With this, we will come to an end of probability sampling. Please go through the textbook. If you have any doubts, get back to me in the department. Thank you.